Okay, so the and if you go out there and you buy a recording and you, after watching this and you listen to it, you're gonna realize my words. But just that, you can tell that these are not melodies written just to be beautiful. They come. It's like an intuition thing. Intuition is good in opera for whatever you do. I mean, in lighting or if you want to be a fan, either way works. The All right. So remember, I'm telling you general things today. We little by little, I start breaking it down. You know, we're gonna talk about things like ensembles, very important technique and situation to find in operas. But this is the general idea of what opera should be all about. Why am I gonna start? I could say, hey, the first opera was this opera written in that year. Well, let's not do it quite like that. Why? I'll give you a good reason. Like in any other business, throughout the years, opera got better. Not all operas are good. Like not all food is good. Not all sports are. You know, if I start playing you, when I talk to people like you a lot, I go like when I was in D.C. doing this. I hate opera because it killed me. I went to see a 4 hours opera, Wagner's 4 hours. Hold on for a second. That's one of the problems. There are good things to me, my personal opinion about college, but other things are not quite there yet. When you send students to listen to, or somebody is trying to learn about opera, to a 4 hours opera, I mean, any Wagner lover will kill me right now, but I'm not criticizing Wagner or Wagner lovers. I'm just saying that that's not the right way to start. The right way to start with teaching somebody opera is with the most passionate, beautiful thing you can find, period. Straightforward, real world. That's the way it works. You talk to private sponsors these days, box offices have the truth. The operas that people really like because they feel and they're gonna pay money for are the operas we know. Puccini, Verdi, Leoncavallo, French composers, Massenet, Gounod, all these operas. And it's not a coincidence. It's because they are beautiful, and we like beautiful things. I mean, we don't want to go to is there any meaning in modern new operas? And we're going to get there. Yes, it is. There are interesting things. But mainly, we don't want to sit down, pay for a ticket, and listen to something that by hour number 2, we're going to be we want to go. So if I play for you the very first opera ever considered as the first opera, I'm not going to say it's not, I shouldn't compare it to begin with, but I think this will get you more to your soul and heart. That's what I thought, than playing that very first opera, which I will play anyway. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the audio here. The reason I have this on a tape is because this is the, okay, could be my opinion again, but this is the best Carmen, Bizet's Carmen, ever in history. There is no Carmen like this in history, and I'm going to give you very good reasons. This is, and not even EMI, Sony, or have something like this on DVD. It's a pirate thing? I don't know. Don't ask me. I just got it from, you know, some source. What is that?
You're not saying.
No, I'm not saying. I know it's the best, and people know it's the best. Now, I'm going to keep one thing for myself, and I'm going to tell you at the end of this recording. But I can tell you that this is 1952, Italy, Palermo. The mezzo-soprano, Carmen, is famous, huge, famous Simeonato. Giulietta Simeonato, and the tenor is Franco Corelli, one of the greatest tenors ever. The thing I'm gonna keep for myself now is something that you probably be a little surprised. Now, speaking of, I know I've been repeating so hard. Well, that's the way it should be. People should understand that that's opera all about. This man is singing, and speaking of singing actors, Well, Placido Domingo is what you call an absolute, there is a technical musical term for that. It's an absolute tenor. Or an absolute soprano or an absolute anything when it comes to voices, and we will break voices down, we'll go there. Means that you're able pretty much to sing any character of any opera. Placido Domingo can sing anything from Otello, which Pavarotti never. There is a recording from Chicago lyric opera, but Pavarotti did it that time and that's it. That wasn't an opera for his voice. We will get into the things that are really important. That's how many times I decide, am I going to pay for that ticket or not? If I know the singer, and I know he's doing the wrong opera because I know it's not for him, I'm not going to spend money on that. And think about it, it's a good way of saving money. So if I give you those techniques, next time you'll be able to say, oh, that person, and we're not going to start dropping names, that person shouldn't do that, or that person is the best doing that. Let me give you a few examples. Placido Domingo is an absolute tenor. He can do anything from Otello that requires from spinto, I'll explain in the future, near future, that term is spinto, dramatic voice, to things like Rigoletto that no, they don't. This opera doesn't require like a real dramatic voice, so you can go like this, like from down here, from very light to very dark. Marilyn Horne, I'm sure you've heard the name. She started as a coloratura soprano. That means a lot of playing with voice, very light, and she ended up singing the most dramatic things. Renee Fleming. She's an absolute soprano. She's able to do everything and anything. She went so far as, Pavarotti and Placido do jazz and other stuff. And remember, Placido Domingo started as a baritone. So that we'll talk about how a voice can change. And in fact, there is a very famous video with Pavarotti, and they were singing Bohème, and they were just joking around, and Pavarotti was singing the tenor, and Placido was doing the baritone role. So what am I saying? This is what I'm going to play now is the ultimate. Again, speaking of heart and soul, I'm getting tired of saying the words. You have this chord, and you're supposed to learn that. By the way, Corelli, learn is a famous, listening to LPs. He didn't read any music. He was a man who would listen to the greatest. That's what new singers need these days. They need to listen to the greatest. The same way composer, when people ask me that, I learned from Puccini and Verdi. Those were my teachers. Singers, you should learn from, Magda Olivero, Callas. If you're a soprano, if you're a tenor, you learn from the best, from Violin, from Tito Schipa, you name it. We'll talk about some of those names. But then you learn that score, you see, and you're supposed to, that's what you get in most theaters around the world these days. Fortunately, the Metropolitan Opera with Peter Gell is back. We were a little down for about 15 years. The latest, 1989 was probably the last great season we had. And this, not only in the United States, this happening was like the internet is great, but once technology started to take over things, I'm not criticizing that, I'm just saying, we're still critics, and when you talk to people in the business, still try to figure it out. What I said, well, don't figure it out anymore. Let's just go back to the 1950s and 60s and 40s, when people used to, this is what is called the old school of singing. 1940s, 50s, 60s, obviously before, but we have record of these recordings. This is the proof that if something we don't have today. Why? Because I'm speaking again about this chord. He's adding on his own. If you know this opera well, but even if you don't know it well, this guy is gonna say extra words that are not written on the score, nor on the libretto. He's gonna do extra notes, sounds. He's gonna cry, and we know the Carmen story. She's flirting with everybody. He falls in love, and bad choice. So pretty much, he is adding sounds, notes, gestures. That's what a singing actor is. This is singing actor. Renata Scotto, Placido Domingo. What is